Dr. T.V. Geeta, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, College of Engineering, Anna University, Chennai. Her special interests are artificial intelligence and natural language processing. She has published more than 143 articles in national and international journals. She has guided around 12 PhD students. She has also won many awards which include Young Scientist Award in 2000, Chief Minister's Special Mention Award in 2002 and Women of Excellence by Rotary Club in 2003.
Welcome to the UGC lecture series. Today we are going to talk about sorting. Sorting is one of the very important applications and processes that we do in a lot of applications, and in sorting we are going to talk about why we need sorting, what is sorting, and also about the different categories of sorting. So, that is what we are going to talk about in this lecture series. So, first let us look at the general background of sorting. In computer science, when you talk about programming, when you talk about data structures and all other processes, databases, sorting is a very important concept, and also in mathematics it is a very important concept, and what it does essentially is it puts the elements in a particular order. And this is one of the most common programming tasks that most students of programming will do. The most used orders, there are different orders in which you can sort. The most used orders are what is called a numerical order, you all know what a numerical order is, or it can be a lexicographic order. Lexicographic order is nothing but the alphabetical order. So, there are a lot of examples of sorting. So, for example, you can sort your exam scores, you can go from lowest to highest or highest to lowest. You can list all the point pairs, that means x, y is a point in a graph in a geometrical shape. If it is a 3D geometrical shape, it can be x, y, z also. So, you can list those pairs and sort them. You can list the student records and sort them by student number, either it could be you can also sort them by number or by names, and it could be by last name or first name. So, you can do any type of sorting. So, let us look at why we do sorting. Most cases efficient sorting is important for optimizing the use of other algorithms, for example search and merge algorithms, and that require sorted list to start with initially. And searching for an element, searching again is a very important process that we do in many applications of computer science, and for searching an element it is more efficient if you have an already sorted order. For example, if you are looking for a particular number, instead of looking at a random list, if you look at a sorted list, you can search much more efficiently. So, that is why sorting is very important for a search operation. Also, it is not that you have to do search, when you are presenting your data to someone or you are displaying it, for example, in a spreadsheet or in a database application, it is better to do it in a sorted way. So, and another way reason why we do sorting is computers do the sorting very fast. So, they take out the burden of a user to search for something if you are already given it in a sorted order. So, let us look at the history of sorting. In the days of magnetic tape storage, database updating was done by sorting the transactions and merging them. This was very important, especially in tape storage devices. Now, that is no more used, but still it is important for the presentation of data that is extracted from databases. Most reports, most people, they would like to see the data sorted in some relevant order, otherwise they will have to flip through lots and lots of pages, because nowadays the databases that they handle are very huge. For example, you take credit card transactions and so on. So, now let us, so we have seen basically why we need to do sorting. Just to tell you what it is, we need to do sorting, one because it helps in the search, and two for display and database records also we need to do sorting. Ranking, there are lots of applications where priority is given for the first rank, for example in the admission process, all there sorting is very important. Ranking is nothing but sorted order. Now, sorting, if you want to define, you can given a set of or a container of n elements, it could be an array or a set of words, and that is what is given to you, and you want to place some order relation that can be had across the elements, that is what you want. Then your goal is to arrange the elements in some order, it could be ascending order or it could be descending order. Only condition is that the order relation that you define should be applicable to all the elements. So, you can't order something some numerical, some alphabetic, means you have to have some order which says that okay, this can be like that, unless you have that you cannot order. So, you should have some order on all the elements, that is applicable to all the elements. An example is you are given a set of elements 123, 2, 56, 9, 8, 10, 100. This could be in an array, and this is the start, and you want to, the order relation you are going to use is the numerical order relation. So, what will happen is at the end you will have the sorted order. So, this is in ascending order, it could be also in descending order. You are arranging the elements in a predetermined order. Now, in the example that we just saw in the previous slide, we have just used one numbers, but normally when you talk about sorting, you are talking about records, and the records will have number of attributes like name, social service number or employee number, wages and so on. So, there should be a key, you will sort all the elements according to a particular key, and you must be able to compare two keys, only then you can do this sorting. So, if you take a set of items, the order is unknown like linked list, array, it could be a file of on desk and so on, and the output should be the ordered set of items. So, for example, you can sort names alphabetically, you can sort by height, you can sort by color, you can sort by any method. So, it is the idea of sorting according to a key and what is the order that you are sorting is dependent upon the application. So, that is the alphabetically by the marks you can sort, by your date of birth you can sort any way. Okay. Because sorting a large number of elements is extremely time consuming, a good sorting algorithm is very important and very desirable. So, that is why we are in this lecture series, we are going to talk about sorting in general. Now, before we go into sorting, we have certain properties that are associated with sorting algorithms. One is called stability and the other is called space. There are many properties, we are going to discuss these two important properties. Now, what is the meaning of stability? Now, in a list you could have duplicates, okay, you could have duplicate key values, and if they, or other words called equal keys, if the relative order of the equal keys is left undisturbed or is unchanged, then you call that sorting method as stable sorting method. On the other hand, for equal keys, if the relative order is not maintained, it is not guaranteed to remain in the same order as it was before the sorting was done, then it is called unstable. So, this is the one property, that is whether it will keep equal keys in the same relative order or it is not guaranteeing that relative order, then depending on that you call the algorithm as stable and unstable. The other one is space requirement. Now, if you want to have in place, to use this additional, only a constant additional space, or there are external sorts which can efficiently sort very large arrays. Now, let us look at the stable algorithm, just to again tell you what a stable algorithm is. A stable sort keeps equal elements in the same order. Now, this may matter, why is this so important? For example, you would have seen that sometimes when you have the same marks, they use some order to do the sorting. So, again that is the problem. So, you are sorting the data according to some characteristic, then the stable sort becomes very important. So, if you are sorting students by test scores, then you want to do that according to some criteria. So, let us take this as the original array, unsorted array, and this is the if you look here, this is the original unsorted array and this is the stably sorted array. Now, what do you have to look for here? Obviously, this array is in the descending order, that you know. Now, here if you look, Asha is 99 and Joy is 99. If you look here, this is in Asha comes first and Joy comes next. In the stably sorted also, Asha will come first and Joy comes next. So, that is what we mean by equal keys maintaining their order. If you look at the next item is 95, if you look at 95, Balu 95 and Sara 95, Balu comes first, Sara comes next. So, that you are ensuring. Similarly, if you take Prem and Tom, both of them have 84, Prem comes first and Tom comes next. So, here if you look, Prem is coming first and Tom is coming next, the same order, and of course, there is only one, so that comes here. So, if you look here, the equal elements, they will be in the same order as they were in the original unsorted array. That is what is called stable sort algorithm. Now, let us look. So, here you see that Asha and Joy are having the same order, Balu and Sara having the same order, Prem and Tom are having the same order. Now let us look at unstable sort algorithm. An unstable sort may or may not keep equal elements in the same, there is no guarantee, it may not be in the same order, it can also be in the same order, but there is no guarantee. Please remember we are using some automatic methods of sorting, so the sorting algorithm should ensure the stability. So that is why we are saying some sorting algorithms do not ensure this stability. So stability usually not important, but sometimes it is important. So if it is not important, then you can use that sorting algorithm. Now sometimes the fact whether the algorithm is stable or not, that also determines its computational complexity. So that is why this is an important aspect. Let us take the original array, the same original array that we had before, and let us take the unstably sorted array. Now if you look here, what happens, Asha comes first and Joy comes next in the original array, but in the unstably sorted array Joy has gone and Asha has come down. So this is not in the same order, equal keys are not in the same order. If you take Balu and if you take Sara, they are in the same order as it was in the original. Now if you look at Prem and Tom, again the order has changed. So there is no guarantee, it may come in the same order like how Balu and Sara came, but it need not come, there is no guarantee. So that is one property. So the first property that we saw was stability and stable algorithm and unstable algorithm. The next one is running time is very important. So running time in the worst case, how long it will take in the worst case and other cases. Now please note, sorting algorithms, it is not true that all the elements in the array, original array are completely unsorted. So depending on that you have the best case, worst case and the average case. So we are talking about the worst case, and also we will be talking about the average case and the best case. Next is the space requirements. In implicit algorithms will require constant space, and the importance of empirical testing, it is often critical to optimize the sorting process because it is a major process that happens in many applications. So if you look at sorting algorithms, you can divide it into comparison sorts, non-comparison sorts and other types of sorts. In comparison sorts, you have the brute force method, you have the bubble sort which is brute force plus exchange, we will come to what this exchange means and all later. Then you have insertion, which is a decrease and conquer method. These are what you say abstracted mechanisms. Then you have divide and conquer mechanism, which is merge, quick and tournament sort. Then you have comparison sort, which is shell sort and radix sort, and then you have non-comparison sort, which is counting and bucket. We will talk about one of this in detail, and the external sorting, which is merge and topological. So basically you have comparison sorts, in comparison you have brute force, decrease and conquer, divide and conquer and some general algorithms. Then you have non-comparison sorts, counting and bucket, and then you have external sorting, which is merge and topological. So external sorting is characterized by large amount of data. Basically we are talking about sorting in the secondary memory. So this is what is happening. So let us look at the, now we have looked at the categories, one is insertion sort. Here what you do is you repeatedly insert a new element into an already sorted list. So we will look into more details about this categories of sorting algorithms in again after we take a small break. So now let us have a small break. Welcome back after the break. Now we are going to talk, we were talking about the categories of sorting algorithms. So first let us look at the insertion sort. So here what we do is we repeatedly insert a new element into an already sorted list. Now that means what happens is we have an already sorted list. For example, you have 2, 4, 5, 7, as you can see it is an already sorted list, and then we get another element that we want to insert 5. So you just have to insert 5 into the already sorted list. Okay. So that is what is the insertion sort. If you would notice, you should have 2 separate locations to store these values. Note this works well with a linked list implementation, because in a linked list insertion in the middle is fairly straightforward, not like an array implementation. Now next is the exchange sort. This is an interesting method of sorting. What you do is you systematically interchange the pair of elements which are out of order. So you keep on finding out what is out of order and keep interchanging this. Now the bubble sort is an example of the exchange sort. Now, this is an out of order exchange, in order then you do not exchange. We just see the example, a small example. If you see here 33 and 67, what happens? They are in order, we are assuming it is in ascending order. Now, if you take 67 and 21, they are not in sorted order, 21 has to come before 67, so you do the exchange. So, 67 and 21 are out of order, so you exchange. Now, now you have 33, this is what we have written here, 33, 21, 67. Now, you take 67 and 84, they are already in sorted order, so you do not do any exchange. So, now this is the output. Now, you continue along this. So, here you have done an exchange, here you have not done an exchange. So, that is the concept of exchange sort. Now, let us go in detail to a example and go through the complete exchange sorting. So, what you have to do is, suppose you have n elements, you have to make n minus 1 comparison with adjacent items and swap when required, and you have to do this n minus 1 times. So, you have two loops, one is to take one element and then find its proper place. The other one is you have to do n minus 1 times this n minus 1 comparisons. So, you have n minus 1 times n minus 1 comparisons. So, let us take an example. This is a very simple example. You have 4 elements 9, 5, 7, 2. We will take iteration 1. Now, the idea is after the iteration 1, this one element would have come to this place. Now, to do, so you have 4 elements, you have to do 4 minus 1 or 3 times you will have to check out whether you have to do an exchange or not. So, now compare 9 and 5, 9 is greater, so you swap them. So, you have 5 and 9. Now, what you do, this is iteration 1 again, you compare that is you are in iteration 1 where you are trying to find the place of 9. Okay. Now, you have 9 and 7, again 9 is greater than 7, so swap them. Now, you have 9 and 2, again 9 is greater than 2, so swap them. So, now after this 9 has reached its proper place and you have finished iteration 1 and 9 is in its proper place. Now, you have to start the next iteration. For the next iteration you will find the proper place for this is the iteration 2. So, what you do is compare 5 and 7, actually what will happen is this 7 will come to its proper place, 5 and 7. Now, 5 is less than 7, so there is no need to do any exchange, so just leave them alone. Next you have iteration 2 again, you have 7 and 2, now 7 is greater, so interchange or exchange. Now, 7 and 9 you do not go up to this, because you go up to this only, 7 is already in its place. So, iteration 2 ends and 7 is in its right place. Now, that is over. So, now how many iterations have you finished? Iteration 1 and iteration 2. In each iteration you have carried out n minus 1 comparisons. So, if you have done the first iteration you would have carried out 3 comparisons and so on. Now, let us go to the next iteration. Iteration 3, you compare 5 and 2, 5 is greater, so interchange, and this is the end of iteration n minus 1th pass and the sort has been done. So, this is the exchange sort. If you understand this, most of the algorithms do some manipulations of this exchange sort. Now, let us talk about the next topic, an important topic called the computational complexity of any algorithm. So, if you look at the definition, the efficiency of an algorithm is basically measured in terms of 2 aspects, that is time and space. So, what is the time required and what is the space required, and as you all know in computer science, these are if you take less time you need more space, if you take less space you need more time. But in the case of sorting algorithms which we are discussing, time tends to be the more important of the two. The efficiency of an algorithm is always stated as a function of its input size. So, for example, in the sorting, if you have n elements that you want to sort, then you say it will be a function of that the number of elements to be sorted. So, you have what is called a big O notation, it is the order of function of n. So, where in the case of sorting n is a number of elements to be sorted. So, this is how you talk about the notation for time complexity. Next important aspect that you talk about is the worst case scenario. What this means is, if you take any algorithm, especially sorting algorithms, the time taken for the sorting algorithm depends on of course the type of sorting algorithm, but it also depends upon the characteristic of the input, that is the original unsorted array. So, if the unsorted array is already almost sorted, some algorithms will take less time, some algorithms will take the maximum time. So, the maximum number of computational steps that will be taken on any input of size n, that is, given that the number of elements is fixed, what is the maximum number of computation steps that this algorithm will take, that is what is called the worst case scenario, and the strategy is normally to find the upper bound of this worst case scenario. What is it essentially telling you? It is essentially telling you that this algorithm, whatever may be the situation, will not take more than this. That is what you are trying to tell when you say the closest upper bound of the worst case scenario. So, this is the actual function, this will be the lower bound, this will be the upper bound. Okay. So, if you take this, it will not go beyond this, that is what you are trying to say. Now, let us see how you calculate the time complexity. We assume each operation in a program takes one time unit. Let us assume this is only an assumption, we do not know what this time unit is, it can be a second, it can be a millisecond, it can be a nanosecond, whatever it is, it depends upon the processing speed of the computer and other things. We are not bothering about that, we are just taking one time unit. So, we are assuming it is one time unit for an assignment, and then you have one assignment, and then you have n plus 1 tests and n increments. See, you are doing this test whether I is less than or equal to n plus 1 times, and you are doing the increment n increments. So, you have one assignment and n plus 1 tests and one increment, that is for this step, the second step. Then the third step, which is this, you have n loops, because of this you are doing n times, you will be doing this, and you have 3 units, 1 unit is for this assignment, 1 unit is for this addition, and 1 unit is for this multiplication. So, n times you will have 3. So, that is this, and 1 is for the return statement. So, if you take this algorithm, if you look here, this is for 1 and this is 1 plus n plus 1, that is for the addition, plus n. So, this is n times you are doing. So, that is this, then this is 3n, this is you are doing it n times. So, that is 3 and I mean n and 3 for the 3 steps, and this is 1. So, you get, if you add this up, you will get 5n plus 4, that is the time taken for this particular algorithm. You understood how it is found out, that is it is found out by, it is decided by the n, that is the size of that particular number of times you want to do that. So, it is fn plus 4, which is of the order of n, it is a function of n in terms of n. Now, let us look at certain typical time complexity functions, and it is an increasing order of complexity, constant time of the order of 1, logarithmic time of the order of log n, linear time of the order of n, polynomial time of the order of n squared, and exponential time of the order of 2 to the power of n. So, log n would be a good time complexity, I mean it will be good for your algorithm, it takes less time. So, if you look here, this is the running time and this is the input size, and if you see here, this is the, as the input size increases, the time, running time does not increase too much. If you take 0 of n, as n increases, running time increases. If you take here exponentially, it increases very fast, even for small values of thing it is increasing very fast. So, you can find out that this is your best algorithm, especially for very large values. So, if you look at the sorting, now that was about time complexity in general. If you look at sorting, selection sort and bubble sort, as we already told you, if it is the order of n squared, order of n squared means not very good. Then you have tree sort, heap sort, quick sort and merge sort, which is of the order of n log n, which is good, and counting sort, bucket or bin sort and radix sort, which is of the order of n. So, these are typical time complexity of typical sort algorithms. So, bubble sort, selection sort and insertion sort are all of the order of n squared. As we will see later, we can do much better than this with somewhat more complicated sorting algorithms like n log n we got for some values. So, but within this order of n squared, when you say order of n squared, we are not actually getting the function like how we got there fn plus 4 or whatever, we are saying only order of n. So, there may be some other algorithm with 8n plus 10 or something, which is worse than 5n plus 4, which we saw before. So, doing like that, all these 3, bubble sort, insertion sort and selection sort, all these 3 are of the order of n squared. So, which means of this, bubble sort is very slow and it should never be used for anything, it is only for explaining the concept of exchange sort and explaining the concept of sorting that we usually discuss bubble sort, it is actually never implemented and used anywhere. Selection sort is intermediate in speed and insertion sort is the fastest of the three, and it will work very well for say small arrays of 10 to 15 elements, and insertion sort is faster than most more complicated sorting algorithms also sometimes. And selection sort and insertion sort are normally used for small arrays. So, this is what we have discussed so far. We have discussed the need for sorting, we have defined what you mean by sorting, we have talked about some of the properties of sorting. When we talk about definition of sorting, sorting is nothing but arranging the elements in some order. We were very clear that the order should be able to be defined and we should be able to define what the order is and what the key is. Then we spoke about categories of sorting algorithms, and the categories of sorting algorithms we had basically the categories were divided into comparison, non-comparison and external, and then we explained the concept of exchange sort. Here what was interesting is how we developed a program, or we understood the concepts of two loops within it and how it was done, and then we generally spoke about complexity of algorithms. So, when we go in detail about each algorithm, we will talk about this complexity in detail. So, what I want you to do is, I want you to list some applications where sorting is important and discuss why you think it is important. Now, this is, I do not want you to take a sorted list of numbers, I want you to take an actual application. For example, you talk about admission through some counseling mechanism or admission through some entrance test is a typical application. You can talk about bank transactions, or you can talk about customer service. You have lots of applications you think of where you think sorting is important, and then even time based sorting you can have. Then list some situation where sorting is important in computer science. For example, I can discuss with you, in operating system you have the algorithm where you want to arrange the memory locations available in sorted order, that is very typical of operating system. And you can take an example of this, I have given you a longer list than we took, and then trace out the steps that are required. I would suggest that you actually do the simulation, because sorting algorithm, if you do the simulation, you understand it much better than just theoretically studying it. So, does this result in stable or unstable sorting, that also you have to analyze. Okay, so that is what we have here. This example, obviously it will be stable, I think you should understand why, and so this is what we have discussed in this class, and I think we should be able to answer this. Now, what we are trying to talk about is only sorting in general. We have only explained the concept of one sorting method, general sorting method, which is the exchange sort, which is used by bubble sort, shell sort and insertion sort. So, that is it. Thank you.